to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Killswitch Engage guitarist Joel Stroetzel to the podcast. The new Killswitch Engage record, This Consequence, is out today on Metal Blade Records. Joel talks about getting into metal and playing guitar, the pressure of being a career musician, the evolution of songwriting as a band, keeping things in-house, and more. It was great getting to talk to Joel, and a huge shout out to Tim at Atom Splitter for fitting in As the Story Grows in talking to the band about this new record. Thanks so much for listening to As the Story Grows. If you're brand new to the podcast, welcome. Thanks for checking us out. You can find links in our show notes or at asthestorygrows.com for our podcast mailing list on Substack, our community on Discord, and our Patreon page where you can get early access to every episode. And if you dig what you hear, I would love it if you subscribed to the podcast on your platform of choice. Enjoy today's conversation with Joel from Killswitch Engage. I've talked to Justin and Mike before, but they were both on here to promote other albums. So you were
gotcha.
Killswitch centric artist. But like, I guess that leads to my first question is what kept you from exploring a side project as well? I mean, all your other bandmates have it.
Yeah, I have two actually. But they're not metal. One's called Brothers Born and the other one's called Hidden Skyline. It's kind of acoustic rock. I don't know. Okay. Little 80s in the Brothers Born thing. But okay. Yeah, it's fun.
Nice. Someone needs to update your Wikipedia page then. It's my fault. Cheating on the research. Are you still up in New England?
Yep. Living in East Hampton, Massachusetts. Lovely Western Mass.
Nice. Is that roughly where you grew up?
Pretty much. I grew up like maybe 30 minutes from where I live now, so It's not far. It was quiet, man. It's like just enough to do where you don't go totally crazy. Yeah. Definitely not like big city life, But
yeah,
cool.
I get that. What got you into music?
I'm not really too sure. Initially, I just my parents always had music playing, and my dad was always listening to cool stuff when I was a kid. And I started playing piano really young. It was maybe like 8 or 9, and a few years later, I got into Metallica and Guns N' Roses, all that stuff, and had to have a guitar. So,
yeah, that's cool. What was it about guitar? I play guitar too. It was like the thing that drew me in, but like as
I don't know. One of my close friends, and I can't remember what grade we were in at the time, but he got a guitar and was taking lessons, and I used to go to his house. I just couldn't put it down. Like when he let me try it, and he'd show me some of the stuff he learned at his lessons, and I loved it. So, just had to have one of my own. And once I convinced my parents to give me a guitar and switch over from piano, I couldn't put it down.
That's awesome. At what point do you discover kind of the local scene and more underground hardcore metal?
I was probably like 1990, maybe 94 for me. Listening to bands like Overcast, Mike's old band, and Aftershock, which Adam's old band, which I ended up playing in for a few years. Shadows Fall, All That Remains, all that stuff was kind of going on.
Nice.
In the early mid to late 90s, I should say.
That's cool. When Killswitch is getting off the ground, what are things that are inspiring you guys as a band? Was it kind of just taking from Aftershock and Overcast and that sort of scene, or were there direct things that you knew you wanted to try differently?
I think it's weird because everybody just listens to different stuff. Like Adam and Mike were both really into hardcore stuff, but Adam was also into Britpop and rock and roll and stuff like that. I loved thrash, Slayer, Testament, stuff like that. So we kind of threw it all in a pile and tossed it around, and Killswitch kind of happened.
you guys as a band have been, I think I said this to both Mike and Justin, like you have reached this point where you're kind of seen as, the godfathers or forefathers of like new American metal or metalcore, whatever.
We're getting really old. Old.
You're not as old as Mike, so you got that. He's the grandpa in the band, right?
I'm the young guy and I'm old. So the youngest guy in the band and I'm old. So.
Like how much of your success do you kind of attribute to, I don't know if it's the scene at the time and the resurgence of Headbangers Ball or just like being on Roadrunner and just their ability to promote and have more of a major label vibe?
Yeah, Roadrunner was great to us, man. And they were really supportive going into the whole thing. And even when Jesse first left and Howard joined, they stood behind us, man. So I think it's funny because there were a lot of bands, doing stuff like that back when we were starting out too. Yeah. We weren't necessarily the first band to do melodic stuff or to blend the hardcore and the metal. And we were maybe one of the lucky ones to get noticed. Yeah. So I think it's a little bit of everything, right place, right time, I think has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird time in music, especially as a fan of heavy music, to kind of see this resurgence of hardcore and metalcore with like, Josta hosting Headbangers Ball and even like fucking Thursday on like MTV. You're just like, how did the scene reach this level?
Yeah.
What made you guys choose Metal Blade after Roadrunner with Atonement?
Hard to say. Honestly, we've kind of been friends with Brian Slagle for many, many years, and he's one of the best friends of our management. So we've always hung out with him for a long time, and just got great vibes from those folks.
Yeah,
and so no beef on Roadrunner. We just kind of our contract was up, and we asked around, and Brian said, "Hey, let me make you an offer." And it's kind of a it just seemed like a good fit.
Yeah, but
work with some friends.
Yeah, by that point in 2019, the music industry is already undergoing this huge shift. Mm-hmm. Did any of the nature of streaming or YouTube or anything impact your decision to sign with Metal Blade, or was that not even a thing you guys are worried about because metal as a genre is so album focused anyway? So
honestly, I didn't really think about that too much when we were doing the whole thing. And we met with a few different labels and kind of heard what folks had to say and if they were interested or not. And Metal Blade just just seemed like a good bunch of folks that we've known for a long time, and they were really into it and had the right connections and stuff like that, and distro and all that, and it seemed like a good fit for everybody.
Atonement came out late 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you kind of get a little bit of touring under that record cycle before the world shuts down. Is part of the reason that there's been this break in between albums, is it just the nature of the process of recording to, getting a record out just takes forever? Or is it just you wanted to make sure you spent that time on the road giving Atonement the love it deserved? Or
I think
just maybe touring from 2 years of being stuck at home.
Yeah, all of the above, really, because we were scheduled to do that tour and everything shut down. So we came back home and with our tails between our legs and hung out for a couple of years with everybody else. And it was kind of discouraging. But we weren't, obviously, it was discouraging for everybody.
Yeah,
on the planet. So weird time. And then we all kind of live in different places in the country now, so it's not like we could easily just get together and jam like we used to years ago. And then And then it takes us a long time to write records. It just kind of does. We're slow. Yeah. We've never been one of those bands that can crank out a record every single year, So it's usually every few years.
Yeah. How has that writing process changed just with technology and people moving away? Like, I mean, were you a band that like so many of us sat in a shed or a room together and jammed it out until the record was complete?
Yeah, I mean, we used to do this stuff like that, and then it's just become so easy with like home recording and stuff like that. Everybody started just writing their own songs, and Adam and Justin in particular, those guys tend to kind of just bang out tunes. They're really prolific writers. I think Mike and I do better when we have the other guys to throw ideas off of, So I always write, hey, check out these 2 riffs. I don't know what to do next.
Yeah,
that's me. But but yeah, it's kind of cool. We just kind of throw ideas at each other. And this time around, writing this new record, we did actually rent a spot and we jammed for a couple of weeks together. And so at least some of the tunes were kind of pieced together that way.
That's cool. At what point did writing in earnest kind of start for this album?
And I can't even remember. It's probably close to 3 years ago at this point. 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, it was a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
Because Killswitch has reached this level of fame or whatever, like status, there's the good thing of like, you get to make music for your living, but also that comes with the pressure of you have to make music for a living. Like, how much does that play in your head when you're writing? Like, we have to do the Killswitch thing. We have to write a hit. We got to write a single. Like, how much of that is in the back of your head when you're writing?
Try not to let it get into my head, but I definitely sometimes get stressed out of it because I play guitar all the time. But
yeah.
And then when it sounds like, I'm gonna write some riffs, and then nothing, and or I come up with something one night and like, oh, that's awesome, and I don't record it, and then I just forget it. So it's it's always weird, man. I think you gotta not let it get in your head and just try to have fun with it and play stuff that you like, and that's really all that we try to do is write songs that we like, and that everybody's kind of a tough filter, I think, in this band because like there's always somebody that notices something that's crappy about something. No, we got to get rid of that part. We got to do this. We got to can that song. We don't like that lyric. That riff sucks. It's like so. There's always people, chopping it apart.
Yeah, there's probably also just a circle of the same people who are like, every Killswitch Engage song sounds the same, but they would also be mad if you guys released a thrash record, right? Like,
you can't win, dude. Disappointed if we do the same thing, and disappointed if we do something different. So
right.
So we try to do a little different.
Yeah,
just a little.
Album's called This Consequence. I don't know how much of like the theming and lyrics you were involved in or aware of, but like, where did the title for the record come from?
That's really all Jesse. I mean, I think it all comes from his lyrics, and I think his themes kind of continue on this record. Whereas a lot of triumph in the face of despair, and getting through personal struggles.
Yeah.
Things that could be interpreted politically if you want, or even religiously, I guess. It depends. He's kind of clever as far as writing. Sometimes I'll think a song is about one thing, and he's like, actually, it's about this. I'm like, that's not what I was thinking, but that's kind of cool. So I think some of his lyrics are kind of open for interpretation, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. With Jesse specifically, there's always seeming to be in the background, like some sort of religious undertone, less so with Howard in the band. Was there ever a point where you're like, hey man, or collectively as a band where you're like, hey, we don't want to get pigeonholed? Like,
yeah, we definitely had to talk about that, but Jesse's not really particularly religious or anything. So I'm not really sure. That would probably be a better question for him,
Sure. I know Mike has done the album artwork for the band. This record definitely has a different vibe and feel. Did Mike still do the artwork?
Mike did, yep. It's a combination of Mike's art, and I think we had somebody make some like really cool miniatures. So that's a lot of Mike's photography.
Oh, nice.
It's really cool how he put it together. He did a nice job.
That's cool. Is it helpful to have a band, Adam doing recording, producing on the albums, Mike doing all the artwork? Is it helpful to kind of have everything insular and in this universe so it feels the same? Or are there times where you're like, it would be better if we looked elsewhere and outside and maybe tried something different?
I think it's kind of nice to keep it in house, like unless we're drawing blanks or getting really frustrated with it. And I know sometimes, like from Adam's perspective, when it comes time to like mix a record, he's had enough. His ears are fried.
Right.
Like, hey man, what do you think of this guitar tone or this guitar tone? Like that, I can't even tell the difference anymore. So sometimes he likes to wash his hands of it. So we've had work with Andy Sneap a bunch in the past. He's amazing. And Mark Lewis did this last one. He did an incredible job. So they saved Adam's ears.
Yeah. Album's out Friday. You guys are going on a big tour this spring. I think you guys start. Is that just kind of the plan? Like, the last record was so disjointed and jolted. Is it good to have just a normal cycle?
Yeah, this is going to be the first normal cycle in many years for us. So just going to try to stay busy. We got some stuff coming up after this tour in May, some festivals and stuff, doing some stuff with Shadows Fall. Looking forward to that. Trying to plan out the summer, putting the finishing touches on that, and probably try to get overseas at some point before the year's out. Just like to finally get it out there, man. It seems like, but like I said, it's been so like years since we started, putting it together. So can't come out soon enough for us. Just get it out there. Release it to the wild.
It's so tough. It's like album cycles don't sync up with when you've written the album. By the time they're out, it's like you're happy to have them out, but it's also like fucking done with these songs, right?
old news for us, man. But we haven't played them live in front of people yet, so that's exciting.